Greetings and Chatelet, everyone. This is going to be a quick review on the new Fujifilm XP-140. I previously had 130, 120, 90, and whatever came before that, 70, I suppose. And anyway, there's if you're looking for specs and all the overviews, there's 1,000 of them out there online. Just type in XP-140 Fuji, and there you go. So I'm just going to concentrate on the things, my observations, and skip all that other nonsense. And got this a little bit ago, and I couldn't find any serious reviews online. Now, I looked at one of those online camera labs from last year, the XP-130, and it had a lot of photos, a lot of samples, comments about how picture quality was slightly less than what they had expected or hoped for, or something like that. But then that's to be expected for a tiny sensor, is generally what they said. Well, no, I don't agree with that at all. I think the image quality on here is poor because smearing is really bad, far worse than an iPhone 7 Plus using a standard lens. And so anyway, the image quality is bad. Video at HD 1080 by 1920, 25p or whatever it is, 25 frames a second, I think it is, much better quality than a 4K video. Now, I just took some 4K video with the what do they call it, the digital IS turned off everything as far as image stabilization for the video, and then just took a straightforward 4K video of a water fountain. Took the same video in a 1080 by 1920 and just put them both on my Mac and just brought them up in the standard video viewer, and the quality way different, just way better off doing 1080 by 1920. So image quality not good, and video quality I guess pretty usable at 1080 by 1920 HD. And other than that, the difference between this and most small cameras that I have, like for example, the Canon, this little Canon, which is the SX740. That's a $400 camera, where this is a $220 camera. So I guess I'm not supposed to expect it to be as good for some reason. I know it's got the same sensor, but it just smears the photos too much. Well, I don't know. Maybe they just can't get a good enough processor in here. Anyway, difference between this and the other cameras is it doesn't have manual focus. It doesn't have aperture and shutter priority. Basically what it has is on the menu, shooting mode, you see here a P, so that means programmed auto exposure. So camera figures out the difference between the aperture and shutter speed and then adjusts both at the same time. But anyway, that's the closest you get to controlling the stuff, so that you don't so that you don't let the camera control everything, including the ISO and all that sort of thing. I've set my ISO to 100, and it'll probably stay there. And I used 100 to make my test pictures. And I'll put some of those tests online at my Dale Thorne site, and you'll see it under photos and test compare. So much for that. I don't know if there's much else to see here. We've got 16.5 megapixels, whatever. Pretty good amount of megapixels if it's done right. A lot of these 1/2.3 sensors have 20 megapixels now, so they're very crowded. I tell you, when you're in programmed auto exposure, you don't get a whole lot here to look at. Here's the IS selections: continuous motion, shooting only. Well, I chose continuous plus motion. I presume some kind of motion tracking. I don't want that. So you got to read the manual here and figure out what you really want. So I turned off the digital image stabilization, turned that off. And I don't even know if they have optical image stabilization. One of the review sites said no. But It does seem to have a IS setting on here for whatever that's worth. And there's a separate setting for video, which if I see here, where's movie setup? Right down here. See what it says. Under movie setup, movie mode, high-speed video, focus mode, and wind filter. So there's nothing as far as a separate IS setting for movies, except for that digital setting. Digital setting does have something to do with movies, I think, where, not sure if it has applies to still pictures or not. They don't make the book any clearer than they need to. But they do have an interesting feature I haven't seen on some other cameras, and that is on the screen setup, you can choose the kind of things that show up on your display by lighting up these check marks and then unchecking things you don't want to show up. Although, I don't know, for some reason the screen still, when I've got things checked, it doesn't show up at all. I can push down the shutter button and I briefly get a little sense of what the aperture and shutter speed are. Other than that, besides the criticisms and everything else, one thing I really like about the camera is the very small, compact size, and the lens doesn't project, it's internal. May have, I don't know if it has anything to do with the image quality or not. I think the image quality would be really great if they got a good JPEG processor in here. Camera is made in Indonesia. Is it right here on the bottom? See if there's anything interesting on here to look at. Can focus on that? Yeah, there we go. Fuji film. So it doesn't come with an outboard charger. Charges only in camera. So I went to Amazon and found something called Fuji Film Official Charger and ordered that. Certainly wouldn't order the third-party batteries with their charger, regardless of the quality of them. If anything goes wrong with those batteries and ruins your camera, you're screwed. Fuji is not going to cover that. So that's the end of that. And here, with this thing open and it has a waterproof seal on it, see the card slot right here, and then the battery over here, and then a mini HDMI port there on top, and then the micro USB down at the bottom. And anything else interesting on here? Yeah, not really. Well, I'll tell you what, on that lens, in the specs, they show, like, I forget, 11 elements in 9 groups or something like that, including 4 spheric lenses. That's pretty hot for a $200 camera that's got such a poor JPEG engine. But there it is in sky blue and matching wrist strap and so on and so forth. So there's my initial review on this. If I learn anything more, I'll post another video. Thank you very much.